Okay, and we are live. Welcome to the Dr. Elisa Show here on KUHS Denver, the stream, an amazing radio station. I'm so glad you're with me today. I am Elisa, and you know me from this show and also from the Crystal Ball Hour. I have an amazing show today, and I'm so glad you're with me. I say this every week, don't I, that what brings me joy is inspiring a Renaissance spirit in you and igniting something in you. And from this point on my shows, on the Dr. Elisa shows, I have series of amazing interviews, starting with today and moving all the way through February. So please plan on every other Thursday with me here, because we're going to rock your world with the guests that I have coming on. And I'll keep you posted on that. If you're interested in keeping track of me, you can go to the Dr. Elisa Show on Facebook. You can find me at elisarobin.com. And you can find me, I'm so easy to find, LinkedIn, Instagram, I'm in many places. So thank you for joining me. I've got to do a quick shout out to my sponsor, veteranspride.org. And I'm playing with technology today, so hopefully everything's going to work. Veteranspride.org is an amazing nonprofit that makes shadow boxes for veterans. Sometimes it's a little difficult for the veterans to afford it, and for that reason, if you can make a donation to them, you would help a veteran be able to feel a sense of pride in his or her service. Veteranspride.org. And remember, one of my goals was that each of us would be a philanthropist by the end of the year. So if you're still waiting to donate, today is a great day to donate. Also, I love to remind you that I'm an author. The second book should be out in January. The first book, Way of the Well, is still available on Amazon.com, probably also BarnesandNoble.com. I think you'll love it. I'm getting great reviews from people who are reading it. And just as some quick updates about dates, just so you know when to find me. Next week, on Monday, I will be on the Crystal Ball Hour will be on, and the date is the 21st. So the 21st at 2:30 Mountain Standard Time, I bring in my crystal balls and I do live free readings. So the show only works if you are willing to ask me a question, which means you've got to go to the Facebook site and put a question in. Or that day, you'll also be able to text me live in the studio, and I can do live readings for you. So, I'm also going to pull up my computer and just track you today also on Facebook if anyone is interested in comments on what's going on today. You can find me on the Dr. Elisa Show, on KUHS Denver, the stream, and probably also on Henry Archuleta's site on Facebook. We are streaming live, and I'll be able to see your questions in a minute. Technology, you know how that works. Okay, so that's all my intros about me. Today's show is based, it's got a couple reasons that I'm doing today's show. It's been a rough year for so many of us, and I thank you for sticking with me on the radio, and I do hope that the things I've said have inspired you to move the needle from fear to joy, from fear to hope, and we're walking into 2021 with a sense of possibility. Women have been more impacted this year because kids are home, and women have a tendency then to stay home if the kids can't go to school. There are a lot of women who have been trying to start businesses, and if they're not online businesses, they've been affected. But this is a wonderful time if you want to be an entrepreneur to launch. And so today's show, I'm featuring one of my favorite entrepreneurs. I'm then featuring a wealth and or financial manager, and I'll introduce her in a few minutes. We're going to go one at a time here. And then the final guest is an executive, let's call her a business advisor, executive advisor, which she actually helps people do, women more than men, but anybody, launch their businesses. So today is all about that, to maybe inspire you if there's been a business you've been thinking about. If you're just wondering if maybe you too could be an entrepreneur, hopefully you leave today inspired. Remember the tagline, ignite a renaissance of spirit inside you. I hope to ignite it and you stay inspired all week. So enough chatter. Christy, are you there? Can you talk to me?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Good morning.
So I want to just introduce Christy fairly quickly, and then I'm going to let her talk. Christy and I worked together. I was blessed to have her report to me for a while and be this amazing manager in our division. And about 5 years ago, she lost her husband unexpectedly. And I watched this woman become so incredibly brave. Not that she wasn't brave before, but it showed up. She realized that she might have to change careers or change jobs, and she did that. She realized she might have to rethink what she did for a living, and she did amazing things. And then this past year, and I'm going to let her talk about it, she decided to become an entrepreneur. And she started basically what I'm calling her own home shopping network. We're going to tell you how to find it. I now buy my clothes from Christy because she's amazing at that. But Christy, I just want to introduce her just with that, and then I want to let her talk about it. Christy, I'm so glad you're here. And can you just tell us about this journey?
Well, it has been a journey for sure. It started with simply, I've always loved to, look nice, be able to dress appropriately for certain appropriate occasions, dress for the occasion. I love to accessorize and just all of it. So I started just with jewelry, and my goal was to provide, and I'm talking about costume jewelry, not fine jewelry. My goal was to provide affordable, beautiful things that just made you feel amazing. I wanted to make women, how many of us have been in this situation where even a new tube of lipstick or lip gloss just makes you feel great. So I wanted to be able to provide some jewelry to add to that special outfit that was very, very affordable and made you feel good. That turned into adding clothing, and it kind of spun from there.
Wow. So you found some jewelry to sell, right? I think your story was that you saw somebody selling jewelry, right?
Yep.
And it was like $5 a piece, and you thought, oh, I can do that. Okay. And then
exactly. And
did you start on, because we want people to find you, did you start on Facebook Live? Is that how you started?
Did. That's really how externally I started, word of mouth and just having little open houses out of my home, things like that. And then went to Facebook Live. I've done Facebook Live shows for about a little over 2 years. Started very, very small. I was so excited if I had, 6 people watching, 2 of which were my parents, by the way. So I'm on Facebook. That's my main presence. Right. I've recently added a website, which I'm amazed that I was even able to do that. So you can find my little boutique on Facebook by searching Welcome Beautiful Boutique.
Welcome Beautiful. Welcome Beautiful Boutique on Facebook. Okay.
Yep. And then online, I can be found at www.benven, which is short for Benvenuto Bella Boutique, which is Welcome Beautiful in Italian. Okay. But it's www.benvenshop.com.
Okay. So, so Facebook or the website, and the website's up. I've been able to see clothing on your website, right? Did you do that all yourself? Did you build your own? Oh my gosh. So on top of everything, you also had to learn how to build a website, right?
There are templates out there and things that are very helpful. That's what I've learned is Google has become my best friend.
So I want to ask you a couple of questions. So first off, if you're listening, you can go to Facebook. Say it again, Christy. Tell everyone how to find you in both places.
Welcome Beautiful Boutique
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook. So if you just put that into the search bar, Welcome Beautiful Boutique with no spaces, you'll find my page.
Okay.
My website is www.benvenshop.com.
Okay, great. And you run your show Thursday nights. It's going to be on this evening,
Mm-hmm.
right? At 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, or Mountain Time, whatever
Correct.
time we happen to be on, right? But Mountain Time. Okay.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
here's what I want to ask you. You are so natural in front of the camera. You get on, and you're entertaining, and you're engaging, and did that surprise you that you had that talent?
Absolutely. And I don't think it's talent at all. I really don't. I don't see that at all. What surprised me is that I actually got comfortable with it, because when I first started, I did not have a level of comfort at all. I was really stepping into something that was new, and it really caused me to stretch.
Okay, interesting. So I'm wondering if you know that, because I'm watching the show, and while you're doing that, and watching everything you're selling, and I'm wondering, has anyone mentioned to you that you're inspiring other women to maybe start a business or go out, or mentioned how inspiring you are? Have you heard that from anyone?
I've not heard that I'm inspiring. I hear over and over again, which just floors me, that people look forward to watching, men and women. They look forward to watching it. They're entertained, even if they don't purchase anything. And I honestly don't feel like I'm selling anything. I'm showing things. I'm talking about things. I believe in what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't show or talk about something that I didn't truly believe in. So to me, it's just kind of natural to talk about it and show it. Inspire? No, I don't feel that I'm inspiring anybody else. I've not heard that I'm inspiring anybody else, but I do get a lot of feedback that people are finding it entertaining and enjoyable.
Well, and so that's probably inspiring in some way. I think we rarely have the opportunity to hear that we have inspired somebody to do something. It might circle back around at some point. What are you hoping for this? So you've gone from being happy when you had, like you said, 6 people, 2 of whom were your parents. Last week, I know, I think you're pushing 100 on your Facebook. I know, it's just
that'd be amazing.
Right? I know, it's amazing. What are you hoping for this? Because it's like ground up, and you just started. What are you hoping?
Elisa, what I hope for is prosperity.
Okay, fair.
In a nutshell, it's one word.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hope for myself, and that's what I hope for anyone who joins me. And what I mean by that is, if I can earn enough to cover my needs and have a little extra to be a blessing to others, that's what I want. And I want to help other people to do the same. Our exterior presentation is so important. We all know that, especially for women. Absolutely. Especially for women. I carry men's items too, but let's face it, we need to look the part, we need to act the part, and exterior facing, what we're putting out there is important. So if I can help someone in a very affordable way, go get them. That's what I want. I want them to prosper.
So you actually say on your website, come as a customer, leave as a friend, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's part of that message, right?
It's my goal that I want to treat people. I want to provide such stellar service and such a stellar product at an affordable price that I think of everyone as a friend, because how do we treat our friends? We wouldn't take advantage of them. We wouldn't try to give that, try to pass something off as something that it wasn't.
Right.
So that's why, that's kind of the motto that I've adopted is, I try to treat everyone as if they're my friend.
Mm-hmm. I know, and that does come across. So I don't want to keep you too long. We just have a few more minutes because I'm so grateful. I know you also have like a full-time job besides this job. So I don't want to keep you too long. But after, when you go off, we have a couple amazing other women who are going to come on who give advice to women starting businesses. Can you, was there anything that you would love, like if you had the opportunity to, which you actually do, to say, here's the kind of advice a woman needs when she's starting a business like this, or something you would wish you knew, or something you could just ask?
Wow. First of all, I think, when I first started, I probably should have stopped and thought about that. To think, gosh, should I reach out and, get some advice from some experts, because I certainly am not. I would probably ask, what are the 3 or 4 things that, when starting a business, when becoming an entrepreneur, what are the 3 or 4 things that you would tell someone, these are the 3 or 4 most important things. You've got to check these off the list in that first year, or in this time frame.
Awesome. That's a wonderful question. That's awesome. And just one last quick question, and then I'm going to let you run. What's keeping you inspired right now? I know it's been a hard year. I know it's been, and in some ways it's been an amazing year too, but what's keeping you inspired right now? Being busy keeps me inspired. I like to fill my time. I like to fill it with being productive. I'm not one to sit idle for very long at all. So that inspires me. What really inspires me, and it's such a little thing, but when I have someone, take a selfie of themselves and send it to me in a text message or through Messenger or something like that, and they're showing me and say, I got so many compliments today. And I always say, I hope that made you feel so good. When I've provided something that made someone else feel great about themselves, that's what inspires me. Okay, well, let me share with you that the fleece-lined leggings you got me, I have gotten many, many compliments on, and people asking if they're warm when I'm walking, and a few people noting that I look good in them. So you might want to start carrying more of those fleece-lined leggings. So last time, tell us.
Make a note of it.
Tell us how people find you, and then I'm going to let you go. But tell us one more time. How do people find you?
On Facebook, in the search bar, enter Welcome Beautiful Boutique, all one word, no spaces. You'll find my page there. You'll know it's me because there's all kinds of videos there. And then my website is www.benvenshop.com.
Perfect.
So that's short for Benvenuto Bella Boutique.
So if you're listening, I can absolutely recommend this as a Thursday evening entertainment, and you'll be surprised at how much you actually want to buy. Christy does ship. If you're local in Denver, she delivers. So it doesn't matter where you are. You can tune in and enjoy the fun. And I have to tell you, I'm just going to share a little about me, that on Halloween I did live readings while people were shopping, which was really fun. And you'll have to check with Christy. We might do that again.
We're going to, for sure.
Cool.
Definitely.
So Christy, thank you so much for being on. I know you've got to run.
Thank you.
But we're going to be talking to these other experts, and I will be watching you on your shopping show this evening.
I'll see you tonight.
Okay, thanks for being here.
Good night. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So everyone listening, please check her out. And we're now going to follow with another guest. Kim, can you talk so I can get you on unmute and talk? Okay, technical issue here. I have no idea. Okay, let me talk about, okay, there we go. Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah, I had to technical things. I fixed it. We're good. Can you hear
No,
me?
it was me. I can't hear you as well. So I was on. I dialed in, but I'll just lean forward more.
Okay, cool. All right. So, thank you if you've been listening. If you're just tuning in, this is the Dr. Elisa show on KUHS Denver, the Stream. It's an amazing station. Show today is on women and entrepreneurship, and we just heard Christy, and now I'm going to be talking to another guest. So let me introduce her by telling you this is a, actually I'm going to let her because there's technicalities about how I have to introduce her, but it's just because she is a financial, Kim, am I saying this right? Financial/wealth manager, advisor? What's the right language?
My official title is co-founder and senior wealth manager. So I am a financial advisor and a financial planner.
Great. So we'll start with that. I'm going to read something here. That the opinions voiced on the Dr. Elisa show with Kim Geisler are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what may be appropriate for you, consult your attorney, accountant, financial, or tax advisor prior to investing. And then
I can say the next one, and I loved Christy's part of the show. I wish my industry was as simple as that, and she didn't have all the disclosures I have. But I also have to say is that Valorem Financial Securities are offered through Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC, member FINRA SIPC, and investment advisory services are offered through Carson Wealth Management, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC is under separate ownership from any other named entity. So that's out of the way. Let's have
cool.
some fun.
Now we can have fun. So
yes.
You heard Christy talk. So here's how I'd like to sort of present you here. You are an entrepreneur. You have your own business, and you help men and women. I know you work with a lot of women, not just in being an entrepreneur, but in many financial ways. But definitely people who have started their own business are part of the group, the demographic that you work with. And you noticed that Christy at the end there, she set us up great, right? What are the 3 or 4 things that somebody should know? So can you just maybe respond to that question?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think Christy's a great example of my first recommendation is pick something that you love and that is worth your time and talent. Okay. And that can mean different things for different people. So I'll get into the nitty gritty of that. As a process-based financial advisor, I'm always going to go back to a process. Mm-hmm. The reality is being an entrepreneur is about a passion. And so I never want to discount that passion in lieu of the process, right? Because any advisor is going to tell you, well, you need to have an emergency fund. You need to check your cash flow. You should have a business plan. You should have right? Mm-hmm. There are all these things that are process oriented, mm-hmm. but the reality is it comes from your heart. And I'm speaking right now as an entrepreneur myself, and I've been independent for 12 plus years now, in the business for over 20. I have a partner now as of the last couple of years, and we're entrepreneurs. And I don't think, it's funny, when I was preparing for this, I don't think people see me as an entrepreneur because they see me as their financial advisor. Right. So we wear, and I think that's true for any entrepreneur now mm-hmm. that I think about it, mm-hmm. but people know we're financial advisors, but they don't understand that we also started our own practices. And, some advisors work for Charles Schwab, or they work for Fidelity or TD mm-hmm. Ameritrade. We are independent, so we are 100% entrepreneurs. And it's very exciting this was really nice at the end of the year to do this and prepare for this, because it really, in this year we've all experienced, it's like, what do we have? I'm so grateful that I'm an entrepreneur and what I do for my clients. So I digress though. So any advisor, I'm putting on my advisor hat now, okay. Make sure your personal financial life is in order as well as you can. Note that it doesn't mean perfect, okay? Right. So a lot of people will say, well, I can't do it because everything's not, they don't say perfect, but at some point, if you are truly an entrepreneur, it's not going to matter if it's exactly perfect. I will tell you that the things that I think people hold themselves back, they don't use it on purpose, but they will use that to hold themselves back from taking that next step. So if you are in that place, you want to meet with me or someone like me, and we can talk about your personal situation and what you may or may not need to do in order to make that next step. Emergency fund is always good, and that's a different amount for different people depending on your situation. Someone who's single versus someone who has a family that they're having to support is a totally different conversation. One of the biggest things I see about small businesses failing is cash flow. Is just, they start this business, their heart's in it, but they still have to pay their bills. And most viable businesses, and I'm sure our next guest will talk more about this, I see it takes a good 3 to 5 years to really get things like moving in a way that that you're able to support, not you, but in general, be able to support beyond the business. And so I think a lot of small businesses get stopped before then because people just run out of resources. And that's a very daunting task. And a lot of people who are serial entrepreneurs, they just blaze through that and figure it out. And the last thing I'll say is if you're good in those areas, or if you're not and you're a serial entrepreneur and you're ready to make it happen, I would start with the end in mind. I think listening to Christy, she talked about prosperity, and that's what I heard was the end in mind. So as an advisor, I would say, well, what is prosperity defined as for you? What does that mean for you? And she said it meant she earns enough, she inspires others, and she helps others. So it's always good for someone to think about, what is my end? What does this look like in 3 to 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And that's a planning conversation.
So let me just stop you real quickly. So before I forget, tell people how they can find you if they would like to work with you.
Sure. We have offices in Old Town Arvada and in Inverness. You can find us on Facebook, Valorem Financial, VALOREM Financial. It means value in Latin. So you can find us there. You can email me at kim@valoremfinancial.com, and you can call our office at 303-393-2456. We're also on LinkedIn and Twitter and all those other sites as well. We have a website, valoremfinancial.com.
Great, thank you. I just want to make sure people know how to find you. So now
I appreciate that.
Now let's go back. So, and we can use Christy as an example because she's done such a marvelous job. She started with something she loved. So that was the first thing you said, right? Start with something you love. And she loves shopping, and she loves colors and jewelry and clothing, putting outfits together, and she loves making other people happy. So starting with something you love was sort of your first piece of advice. And then interesting about the money piece, right? So she still has a job. So she's helping support herself, which I think perhaps, and I don't know, maybe a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize, you start while you have something else going. So you can right, keep afloat while you're launching something, which she did. And then I'm going to come back to the last one in a minute, but also, I'm just going to flip them around, that start with the end in mind, and her end was not, I want to make $1 million. I want to be, that's not her end. Her end was prosperity and a very client focused. I want other people happy. I want to give great customer service. I want women to feel wonderful in their bodies and how they look. And that's, you wouldn't think that somebody would maybe start a shopping network with that, but that's what she linked together. So hold that little capsule piece, and then I want to go to the piece too about how we stop ourselves. So these are like 2 questions for you. So just sort of last thoughts about, or other thoughts about how she started, other advice you might give her or comments, but then this whole notion that we can't start until. I can't start until I have enough money in the bank. I can't start. So And you can do that one first if you want. But any other thoughts about Christy's business, since we had her on first?
Well, I don't know Christy very well. I obviously just met her, so I don't know her personal situation. I don't know if I understand her end in mind is prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
If I were her advisor, I would ask her, well, does that mean you continue on this path and you have your full-time job and you also have this side job or not side job, that sounds, I'm a little flippant, but that side gig that you
That's right.
love and
Yeah.
passionate. How do you feel about your current situation?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to stay employed? You know, what keeps you there? And a lot of people think what I do is just about the numbers. Obviously, it's a lot about the numbers,
right.
but there's a lot of behavioral finance that
Mm-hmm.
happens in what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so really, it's what is the ultimate goal? We're goal-based planners, so we're going to talk to our clients, what's your goal? What are you trying to achieve? And we guide, you decide. So we're here to help you figure out what that path looks like. And, you know, in preparation for this, I was thinking of some clients that I started working with 12 years ago, and they were both they were both employed, one with a governmental entity and one with a corporation. They were making great money, didn't have kids, and they wanted to open a brewery. And,
wow.
you know, and to this day, they have an operating brewery. And,
wow.
you know, I could talk for a long time on that path and that journey with them. But I think for Christy, she would want to look at, well, what does this look like? Like, they wanted to quit their day jobs, and they did. They had to phase it in, and I helped them phase things in. We did a cash flow plan. We tracked their spending. They went to a class that I recommended on how to do a business plan, and they actually went out and got a loan. You know, I think a lot of entrepreneurs go out and they just wing it. And I am thrilled for that. We should never squelch that in our society. It's part of what makes our country great. But I do see a lot of anxiety around, you know, shoestringing it a little bit. So I think what holds people back is knowing that, and the fear, and especially in this year where you hear, you know, these restaurants are failing and these small businesses are failing because of what's happened. And so I think people tend to not move forward because of fear, and I think our next guest can probably help more with that. I am kind of a latent psychologist and teacher at the same time as an advisor. Right. So I don't know if I answered your question, but those are my thoughts from your question.
That is absolutely awesome. So I just want to talk to you as an entrepreneur for a minute also. Actually, I want to repeat some of that first, because I think unpacking it is lovely. That having a plan is great. Let me make sure I say this correctly. Having a plan and financial security so that you can launch is wonderful. And yet, especially in Christy's case, sometimes it's an emergency. Sometimes we have to do something. Sometimes we want to change careers, and we just need to start something. And so it isn't, what you're saying to people is there is no one right, correct way to do this. Right. There is a correct way for a person to do it at a certain time. Is that right? Is that it? Okay. So as an entrepreneur now, let's do that. What's keeping you inspired because again, it's been a hard year for everybody, right? Definitely in your field also. What's keeping you inspired this year?
Gratitude. Keeps me
Gratitude.
inspired.
Yeah.
Personally. When it comes to what I do for a living, what keeps me inspired is, I'll use the example of the young couple that I helped 12 years ago, and watching them get to where they wanted to be, and the path I walked down with them. I often use what I do is like a road, and you're driving down the road and by yourself, and sometimes your eyes are closed or it's dark and your headlights are out and there's potholes and there's curves and you're not really sure where you're going. And I get in the car with you and I look through and see what you brought in the car with you, and we look at that road together and we try and figure out how you can get to the end of that road, whatever that looks like, and what it's going to take to get there. And so when I get to experience that, whether it's watching my clients send their kids to college and feel really good about that, or retire, or in the case of this young couple, you know, there was one point they came to me and they're like, we're just not going to do it. And I'm just like, why? Like, it was my dream too, you know, and I've sat at that bar with them and I've had beers with them, and that's what keeps me inspired. And when we moved to Valorum here in Arvada, she showed up for our open house exhausted because they were working crazy hours. And she started crying.
Wow.
And she said, I always knew, you know, you would grow. And one of our team members said, why are you crying? And she's like, because she helped me find my dream, and that's what keeps me going.
Keeps you inspired. So, which and I know there's sort of legalities about everything I say, so I'm being very, very careful. I will let everyone know that, again, I only bring people on that I know personally, that I've worked with, that I've been inspired by, and I think I can safely say that. And that I'd also like to let just all of you know who are listening that at one point in my life, I was at zero. I had a career, it crashed. I have a master's in geology, and geology crashed, and I knew I needed to change careers, and I went to zero. And people said to me, why would you go work with a financial advisor? Just, you know, you don't have any money. And in often working with an advisor of any type, of an expert of any type, is what we need to go from zero, and from I don't know how to do this, and from I don't know what my next step is, to something, to our dream, to hope, right? Move that needle from fear to hope. So do you have a people who do come to you on a fairly regular basis, who are like, I don't even think I have enough money to have a conversation with you?
Yeah, I get that a lot. I get that. Well, when I win the lottery, I'll come see you. When I win, I think it's just, you know, part of our industries, what people perceive a financial advisor to be. And we talked about this last time I was on the show. A financial planner is a little bit different than a financial advisor.
Can you go
and
through
it gets
those
a little
again?
confusing.
Yeah, that would be great if you can sort of just clarify those for us.
Yeah, so as a certified financial planner practitioner, I follow the financial planning process. So for our engineers and our process-oriented folks, there is an actual process, and planning is an art. It's not a science, so that confuses people, because they're like, well, it's all about numbers and investing. It's really not, because as a financial planner, once again, I start with the end in mind. What is your goal? And by the way, that goal changes all the time.
Right.
You know, you can, just like my clients came to me and said, yeah, we're not going to do it. Okay, why? Okay, you know, and then, but a planner, especially a planner who's invested in the outcome and the person, and who is a fiduciary, we've talked about what that means, that a fiduciary acts in their client's best interest. A lot of my clients are friends. I mean, they've become friends because we've shared so much together in helping build their lives. And sometimes I catch myself saying to clients, well, we're going to do this, and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't me. I mean, I'm outside of this helping. So, it's a mindset, is understanding that your financial planner, if it's the right person, and can be your mentor and your cheerleader and your quarterback, all in one person, and they can help you with budgeting and cash flow if you have the right person. Once again, our next guest is more, I believe, of a coach, but I am still a coach too. Right. A financial advisor, on the other hand, can have some of those attributes, and that's what I think confuses people. But they're more doing the management of the money and the implementation services. I do both, and I love what I do.
Awesome. So we need to, because I know you've got other clients, we need to do this again. Well, first, remind people how to find you. Let's do that.
I think Valorum, the word Valorum confuses people, so I'm going to spell it again. It's V as in Victor, or value, ALOREM, and the simple word financial. Google us. You can find us on social media. We're not on Instagram yet, but we'll be there soon. And we have 3 advisors here. You can connect with me or any one of us, and you can call us at 303-393-2456, or send me an email at kim@valorumfinancial.com.
Great. And again, people don't have to come into the office, so this can be anyone, anywhere. Right. Okay.
We Zoom, we do phone, we do all sorts of stuff.
Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
So we have to read this again, right? Or do you have any last thoughts you want to share before we read this again and I let you go?
I'm just going to throw out one more thing.
Okay.
Is that I'd encourage you to find someone that is not vested in the outcome of your business. If
Okay.
you're starting a business,
Sure.
and someone who is going to be neutral. And because I think a lot of people will seek input from friends and family, and there's a different dynamic there and a different energy.
Right.
So you can call that a mentor, you can call it a coach, you can call it, but seek someone out if you're starting your own business or are currently self-employed that is going to be a straight shooter with you, and someone who has the time and want to help you and is vested in your success more than the outcome. Because I think as self-employed people, we bring ourselves to all the good and all the not so good to any venture, and anytime you can get some sound advice outside of people who care a lot and want, really vested is always a good idea.
Okay, so let's do this quickly. The opinions voiced in Dr. Elisa's show with Kim Geisler are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what may be appropriate for you, consult your attorney, accountant, financial, or tax advisor prior to investing.
And securities are offered through Cetera Advisor Networks, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through CWM and SEC RIA. Cetera Advisor Networks LLC is under separate ownership from any other named entity. We're going to get so good at this.
Right, I know, we'll have it memorized. Okay, well, thank you for being on, and we'll talk again soon. And I'm going to bring on Dr. Allie Hill. Allie, can you unmute and talk?
I can. Good morning.
There you are. Yay. Okay, so this is a quick introduction. Allie and I have known each other for a while. She is she loves helping people. She's an executive advisor. Is that how you would term it, right? And I'm actually going to let her introduce herself but here's what I'll say about Allie. Allie has found her own renaissance of spirit in helping other people, mostly women, I will say, launch their own vision and dream. That she ignites a renaissance of spirit in others, she helps them stay inspired, and she's also inspired. So, Allie, can you talk about your path for a minute, your journey, and then we'll sort of dive into advice?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And it was wonderful to hear from Christy and Kim, because for me, hearing from other women about their journeys is actually part of igniting my own renaissance of spirit. So thank you. As Dr. Elisa said, I am an executive advisor for women, and also, as Kim was describing, I too am an entrepreneur. So about 13 years ago, my husband Jason and I started a company called Sound Advice Consulting Services. I was pretty psyched when Kim just said, get sound advice from someone. I was like, so we started it 13 years ago. It had started as a recruiting and staff augmentation company. Over the years, we have expanded to incorporate bookkeeping services for small to medium-sized businesses and nonprofits, as well as career advisory for people on their career journey. And my favorite part, which is where I joke around, I say where I work in the business. So the other 3 lines are where I work on the business as the managing partner. But where I work in the business is as an executive advisor for women in our line of business called Sound Advice Women. And at Sound Advice Women, we do one-on-one customized executive advisory for women entrepreneurs and founders. We're totally industry agnostic, sector agnostic. So we work with nonprofits, we work with for-profits. And also, we are just launching a new initiative in 2021 in January called Click Club, which is going to be a digital community for women entrepreneurs and founders of book talks and connections. So I'm excited to talk more about that. And as you can see by my face, because I'm pretty much an open book, I'm a Capricorn, and Dr. Elisa talks all about that too, I do this because I absolutely believe in my heart of hearts that entrepreneurship is the answer to women's equality and power. I'm a sociologist. I say that entrepreneurship is the answer, not in a way that is kind of an opinion. I kind of say it as a factual statement based on my studying systems. I have a master's degree in public administration. I have studied government. I have studied society. And I can say, I guess it's not totally unobjectively, but that these systems were not created for women. And if women want to succeed, they have to create a new system for them to succeed in. And that's why I love entrepreneurship.
Awesome. So again, how do people, because I don't ever want to forget this, how do people find you? Give them like that, the connection stuff. How do they find you if they'd like to know more about you and work with you?
Sure. So you can go to soundadvice.consulting. That's the main landing page for all 4 lines of our business. But if you want to, and you'll find Sound Advice Women there, or you can go to soundadvicewomen.com, which will take you straight away to the Women's Advisory page of our website. You can also find me at soundadvice.consulting, or you can find me at Dr. Allie Hill on LinkedIn, and you can also call me. I still use my cell phone, and it's still my New York number. I'm sure you can hear in my voice that we moved here 5 years ago from New York, which is 646-522-7092. Give me a call, drop me an email, find me on social. As I'm sure you can also tell already, I really love to talk.
Okay, so we're going to have 2 conversations here. So the first thing is, if you're listening, Allie Hill has never been on my show. We're planning on having her back on for a full show at some point, because she's just got so many interesting things to share. But today, what we're going to focus on, I think, are 2 things, right? Anything you'd like to add to this conversation that we've had so far? Christy's kind of been our touch point of women starting businesses. So that's part 1. And then I do want to talk about your new endeavor, because it talks about you as an entrepreneur. So let's start with the first part with Christy and advice about women starting businesses.
Absolutely. So of course, Kim said, I took a bunch of notes. I'm a note taker. I have a page of notes here. So one of the things that I was thinking was something that Kim already said, which was having some startup capital, right? And I think that's really important. Most of the clients I work with have a day job. And oftentimes what they are doing is they are funding what I like to call their micropreneurship, right, when they're starting, with their day job. So having some startup capital is important, because the last thing you want to get into is needing advice or needing to purchase something and feeling like it's out of reach, and then having to jerry-rig it in a way that removes you from the passion, because now you're delving into something that you are not yet expert in, and it can really weigh on you in terms of feeling like you're going to be a success. However, what I will also say, dovetailing on what Kim said, one of my all-time favorite expressions, do not let perfect be the enemy of the good.
Absolutely.
And I say that specifically because as a sociologist with an expertise in gender, my advisory is really different than most, because working with women, I'm unpacking the reality of how they were raised as little girls into women, and a lot of time that includes things like perfectionism. So it also includes things like valuing safety over calculated risk-taking, which is a death knell for entrepreneurship. So I think, that was my first. Don't let perfection be the enemy of the good, and start with some startup capital. My second is you need to get comfortable with calculated risk-taking. I feel very lucky. I have incredibly supportive parents, and my father worked in banking my whole life and taught me as a little girl the concept of calculated risk, because he worked in financial risk management. And it was really important for me, because the world was telling me as a girl that I needed to be careful, that I needed to be safe. Don't do this, don't do that, don't wear this, don't go there, don't drink too much, don't, right? But yet I had grown up with a father that said, let's talk about risk, and let's talk about a way to manage it. And I was able to then parlay that not only into my business life, but also into my professional life, so that I was leading with the feeling that I could create my own safety rather than constantly focusing on safety, because I knew that then I wasn't going to take risks that I needed to take. My third piece of what would I say to somebody is have a readiness to learn. A lot of the time when people start something new, they are passionate about it, and they've also gotten pretty good at it, okay?
Right.
So they're in a place where they're feeling expert enough to start a business, and maybe they haven't been a learner in a really long time because they've been an expert for so long. Learnering, now making up words, is hard when you're used to being at the top of your game. So remembering that, we're going to talk about, fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, right? This idea that you can learn. The idea that even if it's hard, it's not insurmountable. These sound like very basic things, but I work with women every single day who've forgotten how to be learners because they are so often asked to be expert. So there's a lot of vulnerability in being a learner. So they are out of that habit. So I am a big fan of constantly being a learner. And reading is part of that. So we're going to talk about the Click Club later about reading. So that was my third. And my fourth is create a supportive community around you. Because here's the thing. Whereas failure is maybe one of the biggest fears around entrepreneurship, isolation and loneliness are actually the dream killers.
Interesting. Let's just repeat that isolation and loneliness are the dream killers in probably all aspects of life, but absolutely for an entrepreneur. That's a brilliant piece of information.
Thank you. I think we are all, again, going into entrepreneurship with a passion, right? And Kim had talked about, doing what you love, and I second that wholeheartedly, and I wanted to add an and, or maybe an or. Do something because there's something you want to change. Because sometimes it's about something you love, and sometimes it's about something you are tired of hating.
Okay. Right.
And,
so I know I'm going to interrupt you, but I'm going to have you back on the show when we have more time because I want to get to your Click Club. But if we look at Christy, her change is I want women to feel lovely. I want women to and it's a small change, but it's a huge change for every woman that affects. So let's talk about, because you're also then as a learner and a growth mindset and as my business is doing this, I want more. Talk to us about the Click Club because it's brilliant and it's brand new.
Thank you. Yes, brand new things. Yay. We as entrepreneurs, we love that shiny new brand new thing.
That's right.
So basically, I have been doing one-on-one executive advisory for a number of years now and absolutely loving the opportunity I have to customize support for women along their entrepreneurship journey. However, as a sociologist, I always yearn for a way to create a larger platform, right? I mean, there's only so many hours in the day that I can work one-on-one. And I was doing a walk around the park to get out of my house because, COVID 2020. And I was listening to a podcast. And the podcaster was speaking to an author. And the author, both of whom were women, by the way, and the author was talking about her new book. And she is not a business writer, a business advisor, she is an author. And I'm listening to this woman speak saying, oh my gosh, I've got to tell this to my client because I see this happening in her business. And I had this moment that clicked, hence the name of the Click Club, that oftentimes there are incredible books out there, and I'm a huge reader and a huge learner, that are not labeled on the back flap, business or psychology, right? They're not at all, deemed niche down to be business books. But there is so much that we have to learn from those authors that actually impact on our success as business leaders and entrepreneurs. And I said to myself, well, I love learning, I love reading, I love talking, and I love connecting with fabulous women. What if I were to create an opportunity for all of those things to come together because I love it? As Kim was saying, this is starting from something I love. So what Click Club is a digital community of women entrepreneurs and founders, where we will be discussing books, not books you will find necessarily on any top 10 list for business, but books that are about our lived experiences as women. And then what my role is in this Click Club, we will meet monthly, is the first half hour of it will be my doing an analysis of the book from the perspective of entrepreneurship. And the second half hour will be a Q&A, so this will be a live group. And also, because of course, I was worried a half an hour is not enough time to answer questions because I'm such a talker, I said, great. So now we've created a private chat forum. So the way that it's gonna work, you join the Click Club, the private chat opens a week before the meeting, so people can start talking. Then we have the meeting every month where we go through the book, and then that chat forum stays open indefinitely for people to continue. Each book will have its own channel in the chat forum, so we won't get all crazy with all the books since it's one book a month. And also, because I know that a book a month for many of us is absolutely out of the question, I wanted there to be zero barriers to entry. So I'm going to do an exec summary of the book so that if you want to join the club but don't have time to read through the entire book before the day, you won't feel as if you're behind because you will have my exec summary.
Okay, so Allie, so I obviously have to have you back on the show because you've got more to say, and Kim has so much to say, and Christy has so much to say, and we are at the end of our time. So tell everyone again, how do they find the Click Club? Because people are going to want to do this.
Awesome. So if you go to soundadvicewomen.com, it's right from the main nav, Click Club. You click on it, and if you're ready to join, awesome. If you're not ready, no worries. You can give us your name and we can feed you some additional information because my philosophy on this is I want you to feel totally into it and ready for it. And I just want to make one quick note. We have priced it very specifically. It's $180 for the whole year. It's $15 a month. I never want cost to be a barrier to somebody who is dipping her toe in entrepreneurial waters. So call me, email me. I hope to meet you soon. And thank you again, Dr. Elisa, for having me on this morning.
And we'll have you back on when we have more time to talk because I want to go over the whole idea of the Click Club and talk about some of those books. Thank you everyone for listening. You've been listening to the Dr. Elisa Show on KUHS Denver. Please stay inspired this week. There is so much to be inspired about. Join me Monday, the 21st at 2:30 for the Crystal Ball Hour. And 2 weeks from today, and I had a 5-element acupuncturist on. It's going to be magnificent. Stay inspired, stay well. Talk with you soon.